this hour, we understand there is a lot of enthusiasm and sporting activities now set up in Gombe State with catch them as young as the mantra because there's a secondary school athletics championship poised to discovering more talents.
Yes, and for me, I think good initiative, you see, for the organizers, trying to make sure that we'll see talent, of course, being supported down there in Gombe State. We understand, of course, there is a renovation of some facilities down there, of course, which will help, the athletes, of course, have the best of training and also the best of performance in this particular one. And for me, I think it's a good one, saying that the athletic units down there, of course, in Gombe is trying most of the kind, of course, to see what they can do to make sure that they breed, talent for Nigeria. And for me, I think it's a good initiative. If we could see this, continue, and I think if it continues, definitely we'll see, athletes, of course, being spotted down there in Gombe State. Let's just see how far this one will go. We hope the organizers, of course, will do everything they can to make sure that the athletes, of course, they get the best of training and best of outing in this particular school championship.
Well, that seems to be some breaking news now, and Carlos Alcaraz is crashed out of the U.S. Open in straight sets. Shocking, but we'll get to that story in a short while. Kingsley, the World Under-20 Championship is ongoing, and we seem to be having some delayed result for Team Nigeria. But first, let's look at what's happening to the rest of the world. Frenchman Hugo Didier and, of course, Brazilian Gabriel has won gold medals in impressive fashion as the first swimming titles were decided, at the Paris Olympic Games. It's just about 48 hours or so, and results are coming the way of the host nation.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one, and seeing that, of course, they are taking the lead this time is something, of course, very huge at this point in time. We just hope that, of course, they continue with this impressive fashion. We saw how it happened, of course, in the Paris Olympic. They actually did their best, but not really that fantastic like the likes of China and the United States of America. But this time, of course, we hope that they will really live up to, of course, expectation. And good one, they are starting in a very good fashion in the swimming events.
Well, Team Nigeria at Paralympic Games, not yet close to the medal zone.
Not yet close to the medal zone. Yesterday, we saw some outing, of course, in the para-table tennis events. And, of course, some of our athletes, went through. But we still have to keep our fingers crossed and see how they, of course, perform in the final, because the final is the main deal at this point in time. We're looking forward to see them, of course, coming up with something huge. Over time, the para-table tennis players, they've not been done fantastic, but this time, we hope they will be able, of course, to live up to expectation and, of course, get something huge this time. Today will be another day where we'll also see Team Nigeria, participating, and we're looking forward to see them, of course, getting towards the medal table. 4
events for Team Nigeria, good enough for us to at least continue to show class in the events which we at least we take part in comparative advantage.
Yeah, but I think 4 events, we take a look at it, we have about 23 athletes, competing in all of those 4 events. For me, it's good enough, but not really good enough. I think we should have possibly, participated in other sport than just the para-table tennis, the para-lifting, and talking about para-badminton, and I think the other sports,
canoeing?
Of course, yeah, canoeing as well. And I will look forward to see, how they would perform this time around. So let's just see. I think yesterday we saw this other lady, Eniola Bolaji, in the badminton event. She was able to pull through, of course, to the next round of game. And I think for me, that's a very huge, performance. So we should be looking forward to see Team Nigeria, trying the most they can to surpass the previous record, we saw last time. I think if you take a look at it, we've always gotten that huge level of dominance when it has to do with the para lifting as well. And as well, this time, from what we're seeing, badminton is also one sport that's going to give us medals. So let's just see how it goes, for Team Nigeria going forward.
Team Nigeria has to really show class. We've seen them in the past at the Paralympic Games return a lot of medals. So we want to hope that this will happen again this time. We understand 22 sports is on showcase, for which Nigeria is only taking part in 4. But at least it should make a difference there. Amongst the 449 athletes that are there, I'm sure that our over 20 athletes there should as well try to see how they can get to the podium. Kingsley, we saw a very colorful opening ceremony. It looks like what we saw at the able-bodied Olympians. They continued there with 168 delegations showing their stuff at this year's Paralympic Games.
Yeah, it was really...
65,000 spectators inside outside of the stadium.
Outside of the stadium.
It wasn't like a stadium, but I think that was in a palace arena in France, in Paris.
Now, and for me, I think the organizers, they really, put up a very huge, let's say, top-notch organization. We saw what happened in the Olympic game where the opening ceremony was held in a river. This time, it wasn't also held in the stadium, it was held outside.
Yeah, the Palace, the Brink, out there in Paris.
So I think they've actually, taken the bar to another level. I think, talking about the next Olympic game, the organizers will have to do a lot, to be able to surpass this impressive, opening ceremony. I think for me, it was very, very colorful down there. And Team Nigeria, we saw them, of course, with their very beautiful attire. Lorenta Onye was the flag bearer for Team Nigeria in the opening ceremony, and we saw the weightlifter talking about Fumilayo. She was the captain of Team Nigeria, and it was a very impressive outing for Team Nigeria. We just hope that they're going to complement that beautiful outing with the performance we've seen. So far, so good. I think it has not been bad when it has to do with the performance of some of the players. So we have hope that Team Nigeria, especially, will be able to surpass the record they set last time in Tokyo, which they won about 10 medals. I think it was a very impressive outing down there, you will see. So we're looking forward for them to surpass that record and then, of course, put smiles on the faces of Nigerians, because when you talk about Olympics, I tell you, it has not been rosy, especially they just concluded Paris Olympic Games. 65,000
spectators outside of that, the largest square in Paris, as the Parc de Concorde, where the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Games for Paralympians took place. Kingsley, 549 medals on showcase. How many of that will come the way of Team Nigeria?
It's a big question, Mr. Siri. I can't really pinpoint at this point in time, because from what we're seeing, if we're able to win 10 last time in total, I think we should be able to, our target should be able to at least surpass 10. If we can come back home with 15, no matter the colors, at least it will be something very huge. And I think for me, the Paralympians are very motivated, especially looking at the fact that their bonuses has been increased: $15,000 for gold and $10,000 for silver, bronze, $5,000 for bronze medalists. I tell you, they are really motivated at this point, and I think for me, it will help them do whatever they can to make sure that they get something, back home. If you're able to get $15,000 for winning a gold medal alone, that's a very, huge amount of money. So I think that will be a means of motivation for them. But let's just hope at least we're able to surpass the 10 medals we won last time.
It's the 3 at the Paralympic Games where we've seen 22 sports to be competed for. Like we mentioned, there are 549 medals on showcase. All of these will have the attention of about 4,400 athletes, Paralympians that are there in Paris. Team Nigeria, go for it and return back with medals. Away from the participation of Team Nigeria, the ongoing Paralympic Games in Paris, let's look at another accolade coming the way of Nigeria. This time around from the basketball team, the female national basketball team, the Tigress, has now broken into the top 10 of world basketball. They are now number 8 in the world, Kingsley. Yes. This is cheering aftermath of that demolition of world number 3 and world number 5 at the last FIBA championship.
Impressive one, Mr. Siri. This is the world stage, not even Africa. A very, very impeccable record, you would say, for the D Tigers of Nigeria. The first African team, male or female, to break into the top 10 of basketball ranking. I think for me, it's a very huge achievement, you would say, for the girls. And kudos must be given to Rena Wakama, the coach, who has been, of course, at the helm of affairs to making sure that, the D Tigers, achieved this particular record. We saw what they did. And they just concluded Olympic game where they were able, of course, to lock on with the likes of Australia.
World number 3?
World number 3, even France as well. So it was really an impressive performance. Even the game against the team that is ranked number 1 now, talking about the United States of America, it was a very impressive performance. They didn't actually play like rookies. They actually came out, to challenge the United States of America. So for me, I think if you take a look at it, they've improved in terms of their performance. You know, we saw just coming from the Afro Basketball Championship, which they won in Africa, going down to the Olympic game and getting to the quarterfinals, something that no other African team, of course, male or female basketball team have achieved down here in Africa. It's really, really an impressive one. And we look forward for them to continue with this level of performance.
The Tigers female basketball side of Nigeria making history. They were all number 8 for the very first time into the top 10 in the world basketball. But it looks like controversy doesn't seem to stay away from the Tigers team. You remember last time the girls were denied participation at the FIBA World Cup because of maladministration from the federation. This time around, they had to, you know, go to the major championship without the captain of the side. And as if that was not enough, now the assistant coach of the team, Obi, what's her name now? I can't remember quickly. Abi Olajuwon. If you remember Olajuwon, one of the Nigeria's most recognized basketball player in the world, Hakeem, the father of this girl. If you remember, he played basketball to, I think, Houston Rockets then. The daughter now is an assistant coach with the female basketball team to assistant to Rene Wakama. She's now complaining of non-payment after what she described as significant contribution to Nigerian women basketball. We often talk about it here, and it looks like we're crying foul. Now we're hearing right from inside an assistant coach with the D Tigers team that has done so well for Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world basketball is now been complaining about lack of payment after significant contribution in our own words.
Not a good one at this point in time. I think when you take a look at the state of basketball in the country, we're trying to revive basketball from what we've seen so far. You take a look at the maladministration has really, you know, brought a huge decline in terms of basketball down here in Nigeria. When was the last time? Of course, last year we had the Nigerian Basketball League. It took a lot of time before we even saw that abridged league. And then we talk about the female basketball as well. It's not been that consistent, you know, so far in the country. So for me, I think at this point in time, where I think due to political tozo and all of that, leadership tozo in the NBBF, a lot of things has gone wrong. So at this point, I think we're trying to see how we can get better in terms of basketball once again. Irena Wakama has come and she's trying, of course, to put things in place, you know, especially for the D Tigers of Nigeria. We should not be, you know, doing things to hear such kind of, you know, story coming from maybe an athlete or a coach or whatever. It's very, very sad after going all that out there, you know, to put up some impressive performance. At the end of the day, you know, you're not paid. Nobody will be happy that, you know, he or she is not paid, you know, for the work that that the person, of course, has been putting up out there. And for me, I think that's why she's not happy at this point in time. So airing our view, I think, is right, first of all. And the NBBF at this point should be looking forward to see how to put this in place in basketball down here in Nigeria. Not always allowing this kind of thing, of course, to pop up. It's not good. A laborer deserves his wages. And for me, she should be paid, you know, what is due to her. Take a look at what she's done so far for the country when it has to do with basketball. So I think these are things we should try to avoid, not to make sure that, of course, we don't, you know, paint what we're trying to build or what we've built for years, you know, bad. So for me, I think the NBBF should look into it and see how they can possibly give her what is due to her.
Well, I think we really have to do something about Nigerian basketball administration and ensure that we do not get some of these embarrassment, so to say, especially when we are on the rise in terms of performances of on the court. The girls have to be supported, the officials have to be supported, and all those charged with administration of basketball in Nigeria must sit up in our own words. Talking about basketball and Nigeria's climbing into the top 10, now world number 8 in the world in basketball. Rwanda as well is another team from Africa that has jumped. They rose by 12 places to number 62 in the world of basketball. Rwanda seem to be getting it right in the last few days, both in the male and female category of basketball. Yeah,
if you take a look at it, Rwanda, the one country, of course, they're one of the countries that are doing so well in Africa when it has to do with basketball. So I think sometimes we've seen some Afro Basketball Championship we had in Rwanda, and they are so particular about basketball development down there, and that's why we're seeing the male and female team, of course, doing so well, you know, moving Moving up in that very huge fashion for me is a good one. 12 places to 62nd, of course, in the world. You would say not a very bad one. If they continue with this level of momentum, they have that opportunity, of course, to increase or to go further when it has to do with the rankings. Well,
we say congratulations to the Nigerian side and, of course, to the Rwandans as well for making a leap, a 12-point leap, a 12-place leap to world number 2 in basketball. And let's see whether we still have some more time to look at what is breaking right now from the U.S. Open. But Kisley, I really don't know. But let's take one more basketball story before we get to very shocking development coming from Flushing Meadows in New York, where the U.S. Open is ongoing. And talking about basketball reminds me that Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors star, has agreed to a new 1-year contract. This is good news for Golden State Warriors that one of their main men is agreeing to stay for yet another 2-year period.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one for the Golden State Warriors. He's their key man. Steph Curry was very, very instrumental, of course, for them last season, and putting up this contract that would take him to 2027. I think for me it will actually help the Golden State Warriors, of course, contend for the title once again. And we hear that this one is very huge. $215.4 million is a very huge amount of money, you will see, for Steph Curry. And the reason why he's been paid that much is because of his impact so far. He's been very, very instrumental, of course, for the Golden State Warriors. Last season, of course, he averaged 36.4, 5.1 assists, and a 5.4 rebound per game. And you see, of course, it was really an impressive outing for the man, talking about Steph Curry. He's won about 4 NBA titles with this Golden State Warriors. So for me, I think he really deserves that particular contract extension and the huge amount of money that follows as well.
Huge amount of money. Talking about Steph Curry's new contract is worth $215 million US. That's 215.4 million to be specific, and that's very big money for an extra 1 year for the man. Yeah, Steph Curry only ever played for the Warriors in the NBA after being drafted by California team way back in 2009. Last season, we know that Steph Curry averaged about 26.4 points and 5.1 in assists and 4.5 rebounds per game. And right now, he holds the record for the most 3-pointers in NBA history, 3,747, and still counting. One man who has won 4 NBA championships with the Warriors and is a 2-time most valuable player and 10-time All-Star. By all standard, a legend in basketball, Kisley.
Yeah, all standard legend in basketball, you say. And that's why, of course, the Golden State Warriors have to do everything they can to make sure that they extend his contract, because they know that, within the period of time, he's going to be very, very, instrumental to them. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what Steph Curry brings to the table come next season.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see. Basketball season is just a few weeks away, and let's hope that it will be that will bring joy to Golden State Warriors. A lot of money, like we mentioned, that $214 million US. That's quite a huge sum. We'll have to take a break now. When we return from a break, we'll bring you what is breaking at this point in time from the Flushing Meadows in the United States of America, where Gaswatek is had to suffer to enter into the 3rd round. But it's not the case with Carlos Alcaraz, because he has now been crashed. He has crashed out at the 2nd round of the U.S. Open. Number 3 seed out so early. When we return from the break.